Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS live stream or video for today, February 3rd. It's a Friday, so obviously we're right about up to the weekend at this point in time. Got a little NBA action today, an 8-game main slate overall. Going to be looking at some recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. Talking about the injuries in play for today's 8-game main slate overall. Then going over to both DraftKings and FanDuel, talking about my core picks for tonight. Not the greatest day in the world yesterday. It was a little bit hit or miss, but we're going to get into that recap right now. So on the DraftKings side of the point guard position, went with Donovan Mitchell at $8,100. Looking for 41 points. Got to 20.5, so about half of what we were looking for out of him. He was a miss. He only played 22 minutes yesterday. His shot was not falling whatsoever, 2 out of 11. Then he ended up getting ejected from the game because Dylan Brooks is the biggest, punk boy in the NBA. We would use other language, but probably wouldn't recommend doing that on YouTube. So we're going to leave it at punk boy at this point in time. He's just a guy that is an instigator, likes to throw dirty punches and hits and everything else like that, and kind of got Mitchell ejected. So that was kind of unfortunate there. Although supposedly his shoulder was bothering him before that, supposedly. And that's maybe why he wasn't shooting as well. And then at shooting guard, I said you could go with Tyler Hero at $6,700 or Jordan Poole at $6,500. Once we did get some news that Jalen Brunson was out, Emmanuel quickly kind of entered the mix too, said he'd probably be a core pick with no Jalen Brunson yesterday. So we're going to talk about those three guys overall. And we're going to start with Tyler Hero at $6,700. Was looking for 33 points out of him, 34. Got to 47.75, so he was ahead if you played him. If you played Jordan Poole, $6,500. Was looking for 32, 33 points out. Got 36.25, so he was a hit as well as if you ended up on him. And then Emmanuel quickly at $5,400 was looking for 27 out of him. Only got to 22 yesterday. He was a miss. Played decent-sized minutes, but only 3 out of 8 shooting yesterday. Not a lot of scoring for him overall. So that was kind of his detriment. And RJ Barrett ended up getting 23 shots off. So if you played RJ Barrett without Jalen Brunson, looked pretty good. If you played Emmanuel quickly without Jalen Brunson, did not end up working out this time. And then we moved down to small forward. We had Gordon Hayward at $5,300. Was looking for 26, 27 points. I only got 12.25. He was a miss. Only played 25 minutes in this game, 2 out of 10 shooting. Up until this point, he was getting closer to that 30-minute threshold. So just kind of unfortunate that he did not get those extra minutes. The game ended up being a little bit of a blowout as well. Then at power forward, we went with Jimmy Butler at $7,400. Very reduced price tag for him. Looking for 37 points. Thought it'd be a pretty good game for him, but only got 25. Not like the worst game in the world, just wasn't super efficient, wasn't kind of like what we would expect him to be most nights. Then at center, we had Xavier Tillman at $4,200, looking for 21 points on. He got 22, so he ended up being a hit. Although he did probably leave a little bit of value on the table yesterday, but Santi Aldama was actually rebounding the ball really well. So if you went with the 5 guys that we did have here kind of on the DraftKings side, you still had a chance of cashing if you had some other decent plays. A little bit of hit or miss day. Obviously, it kind of sucks that Donovan Mitchell was not playing well and then did end up getting ejected overall as well. And then on the FanDuel side, we had LaMelo Ball at $8,700. We were looking for 43, 44 points on. Got 39.6. He's a miss. Just not quite what you'd expect out of him yesterday. Donovan Mitchell was $8,300. Was looking for 41, 42 points on. Got to 21.3. Already covered what happened with him on the DraftKings side. 22 minutes, 2 out of 11 shooting, then ended up getting ejected. And then at small forward, we had Tyler Hero at $6,400. Was looking for 32 points on. Got to 46, so he was a nice little hit there. Xavier Tillman at power forward, $4,700, looking for 23, 24 out of him. He got to 23.7, so he was a hit as well. And then at center, we had Jared Allen at $6,700, looking for 33, 34 points. He's been at, he got to 46.2 yesterday. And then obviously Emmanuel Quickly, who did look like a pretty good play on both sites, $5,700 on FanDuel. You were looking for 28, 29. I'm only got to 20.2. Just not the greatest scoring day for him overall. So if you did play him, it kind of didn't work out, unfortunately. Myself, I got to a little bit more RJ Barrett on FanDuel. So that's just kind of something that worked out nicely since he did get the 23 shots off compared to Quickly's 8 yesterday. So a little bit of hit or miss day on both sides yesterday. Was able to kind of scrounge up some profit on the FanDuel side. DraftKings was a little bit tougher overall, though. But with that being said, we're going to get out of the recap of yesterday's picks. I'm going to bring up the injuries for tonight's games overall. And when I do bring that up, I'm just going to refresh the page to make sure there was no news since I first brought this page up before the recording. So once again, it's an 8-game main slate. Looks like we have 3 games starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight. And for the back-to-back, we assume that Kelly Oubre is out once again. Cody Martin listed as kind of a game time decision, but probably out once again if I'm being completely honest. Did Gordon rest on the back-to-back tonight? That would not surprise me whatsoever. In that case, Jalen Daniels would look like a decent GPP play on both sides tonight overall. And then on the Pistons side, they haven't played in a couple days because their last game did get canceled due to some flight issues. They could be very much in play. More GPP options than anything tonight. Obviously, Alec Burks looks like a decent play on both sites if you want to go there. Maybe a little bit of cash play, just depending on what else opens up throughout the day. But they're without Marvin Bagley and Corey Joseph once again, so no real changes there. The Sacramento Kings actually have an injury for once, it seems like. And it's not even an actual injury. De'Aaron Fox is out tonight due to personal reasons. If Davion Mitchell gets the start, he's going to be one of the chalkiest players on tonight's slate overall. If he doesn't end up starting, somebody else does, whether it's like a Malik Monk or Terrence Davis, could be a very interesting there. But looking at some potential Kings value tonight, whether it's Davion Mitchell, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, maybe even Keegan Murray. And then Domantas Sabonis should look a little bit better with the offense running through him a little bit more tonight as well. Then on the Pacers side, they are on the back-to-back, so we don't have an injury report for them. Tyrese Halliburton did return last night, and he actually played good-sized minutes, so we'll see if he's good to go tonight on the back-to-back or if they end up resting him. Obviously, if they end up resting him, TJ McConnell would look like a decent play overall. Then we move to the Trailblazers, who are without Joseph Nurkic, Justice Winslow, and Baji once again. And then obviously Joseph Nurkic played like 2 minutes last game and then retweaked his calf, I believe it was. So kind of unfortunate there. It seems like he's already had like 3 or 4 calf injuries so far this year. They're all probably correlated, but Jeremy Grant is listed as questionable. We'll see if he plays tonight or not. Obviously, if he doesn't play, it's going to open up some more value on this team overall. Drew Eubanks is going to look all right at center. If Trendon Wofford gets to start at power forward, then it's going to be an interesting center rotation as well. We could see Nas Little start at power forward. We could see even like a Jabari Walker start there if Jeremy Grant's unable to go as well. Gary Payton II also got a ton of minutes the last time out. So a lot of potential value pieces here, especially if Jeremy Grant does not end up playing. And even in that case, if he's not playing, Simons and Lillard pretty much are going to be able to get any shot they want at any given point in time. So that's going to be the guys they're mainly shooting. Maybe Josh Hart kind of comes back to life tonight as well. And then for the Wizards, just Anthony Gill out tonight. So pretty much seeing what we've been seeing for the Wizards. Obviously, Gafford did miss last time out, and then they did have that postponement against the Pistons earlier this week. Then we move down to Phoenix Suns. Got Devin Booker, Jay Crowder, Cameron Payne, and Landry Shamet went against them. Pretty much what we saw the last time out for them. They're going to match up the last time where they got blown the covers off. So not super interested in the Suns tonight. More playing that overall. Taking a little bit of risk there, but could pay off in the long run if they can keep this game competitive. On the Celtics side, we got Danilo Gallinari and Marcus Smart both out once again, so no real changes there as well. If I'm playing some Celtics guys, Jason Tatum looks all right. Robert Williams is somebody I do like on both sides quite a bit tonight, although he is not in my core picks, but I do like him on field for his versatility, and I like him on DraftKings relative to his price tag overall. Then we move down even more to the Toronto Raptors without OG and Anoa, what we've seen in recent games from Houston Rockets without Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. once again. And now Jabari Smith is questionable due to hip injury. Obviously, if he doesn't play, assuming that Tari Eason would start in his place. And he looked pretty interesting overall on both sides, even though his price tag has gone up. But the Rockets team could have some value here with like a Deshaun Nix as a cheap play on both sides. Eric Gordon looks like a decent play on both sides. Sengun obviously has a lot of upside as well, especially if this game remains competitive and he stays out of foul trouble. Then we move to the Orlando Magic without Chuma Okeke once again tonight. Jonathan Isaac List is questionable. I kind of assume that he'll be back tonight. For the Timberwolves side, we got Jordan McLaughlin and Karl Anthony Towns both out once again. And then we have Bryn Forbes listed as questionable. I believe he was done with an illness the last time out. Rudy Gobert is questionable. He had a groin injury, but he's been questionable for quite some time. Played like 4 or 5 straight games, then ultimately ended up missing last time. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that throughout the day. Obviously, if he does not end up playing, Naz Reid is going to be a great value on both sites. Then we move down to the 76ers, who have Joel Embiid listed as questionable, but he's been questionable the last couple of times. Safe to assume that he does play once again tonight. Although, if there was ever a spot to rest him, it'd be against the Spurs team. That isn't that good to start with. and that is super depleted tonight. So just keep an eye on that. If he doesn't play, Montrezl Harrell would be a pretty good value on both sites as well. And then for the Spurs side, there is no Devin Vassell once again until after the All-Star break. Jeremy Sohan is listed as out as well. Romeo Langford's out once again. And Trey Jones now listed as doubtful. So the Spurs team doesn't have a lot here at this point in time. Keldon Johnson's their best player. Jakob Poeltl's all right. Josh Richardson's a good bench piece, but they don't have much on this team that's very good. But there could be some potential value here tonight as well, just based on the minutes that some of these lower tier guys are going to be getting tonight overall. Then for the Atlanta Hawks, they're all the way healthy at this point in time. Utah Jazz, they are on the back-to-back as well, so we'll just keep an eye out on that as well. And Micah Potter's out, but he's in the G League. And then Fontenot is listed as questionable at this point in time. I'm not even sure what he's dealing with at this point. I'll take a look at that real quick. He is dealing with a foot injury, apparently, so we'll just have to keep an eye out on him, but not a major part of the rotation either way. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. The main ones we're going to be watching tonight, obviously Joel Embiid, if he ends up missing for whatever reason, obviously Montrezl Harrell will look pretty good in that case. Once again, Rudy Gobert is a big one. Obviously, if he ended up missing once again, Naz Reid would be a very good play on both sites. Jabari Smith's going to be a pretty big one as well, even though and then we move all the way back up. We're just going to get the news on the back-to-back games, and then Jeremy Grant's going to be the other big one on tonight's slate. So pretty simple in terms of injuries at this point in time. But we're going to get out of the injuries for now. We're going to go over to DraftKings and talk a little bit about the core picks for tonight. So let me get over there real quick. And once again, core picks can change throughout the day. I'll have my updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, especially if we get news throughout the day that does ultimately end up changing them quite a bit or even just a little bit at that. But in terms of the DraftKings side, we're going to go with point guard Davion Mitchell. He's $3,000, the flat minimum. Goes against the Pacers tonight. It's a pretty good matchup overall. Not the greatest usage guy in the world. Not a guy that's going to take a ton of shots or anything else like that. But at $3,000, you only need him to get 15 points. Currently having projected for 20. Does have some upside for more tonight if he's out there and he's playing well once again. Then at shooting guard, ultimately ended up on Josh Richardson. This may or may not be where we land by the end of the day, but $4,800 looking for 24 points out of him, averaging about 22 so far on the season. But the big thing tonight for the Spurs, they don't really have a point guard. Josh Richardson's kind of their best bet at this point in time, even though Malachi Brandon was kind of a point guard at Ohio State, but the Spurs really don't want to use him in their role. They want to use him more like a shooting guard. They do have Blake Wesley off the bench too, who was recently recalled from the G League. So maybe those guys are sneaky flyers as well. But Josh Richardson, you could argue, is the third best player on the Spurs tonight. He's going to be out there. He's going to get decent sized minutes. If this game's competitive at all, he's going to look really good. However, if it's not competitive, then maybe he doesn't look quite as good, but still going to play decent sized minutes, just how depleted this team is overall. Currently, I'm projected for about 28, 29 points tonight. And then a small forward, we're going with Kevin Huerter at $5,400, looking for 27 points out of him. He's a little bit at a reduced price tag. Been losing some minutes in recent games to Malik Monk, though, but there is a chance they play a little bit more alongside each other tonight without De'Aaron Fox. Typically takes a little bit of a usage increase without De'Aaron Fox out there on the court as well. So currently I have him at 28, 29 points tonight. This is also a pick that could change throughout the day as well. And then we move down to power forward. We're going right back to Scotty Barnes tonight. $7,700, looking for 38, 39 points. Currently I'm projected for 40 tonight, going against Houston Rockets. A very good pace-up spot, a very excellent matchup for him. As long as this game stays relatively competitive, Scotty Barnes is going to look really good overall tonight. There is some downside there, but the upside is very, very much so, especially with the way Pascal Siakam's kind of been struggling as of late. And even with that being said, if you don't want to play Scotty Barnes, if you want to play Fred VanVleet, he's an excellent play tonight as well. And then we're going to get down to the center position with Drew Eubanks at $3,800. Probably going to be one of the most popular centers on tonight's slate. And rightfully so. You know, he's going to start. He's only $3,800. You're only looking for 19 points out. Currently, I'm projected for 23, 24 points tonight. Has some upside for more. If him and Wofford start alongside each other, makes things a lot more interesting and could open up some more minutes for him overall tonight as well. But with that being said, if you go with these five players that I do have listed here, you have $25,300 remaining. just over $8,400 per player. So definitely a good amount of room and flexibility, whether you want to pay up for some studs tonight or if you want to make a little bit more balanced build from the rest of your picks as well. Going to be a pretty interesting slate overall, I do believe. But with that being said, we're going to get closed out of DraftKings real quick. We're going to bring up FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. And then the FanDuel side's a little bit different. You're going to see that we're paying up for some guys here instead of kind of the cheaper ones and then letting you guys pay up for the ones you want. But obviously, if you don't like any of my core picks, or I shouldn't say any, but if you don't like a certain player from one of my core picks, you can obviously change it out on any given slate, on any given lineup. But at the point guard position, we're going right to Damian Lillard today for the Portland Trailblazers. There is no Joseph Nurkic, so there's more usage to go around in general. If Jeremy Grant doesn't play tonight, there's still going to be more usage to go around. So there is a case that Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons just kind of blow up, especially if this game is competitive tonight. And the way Damian Lillard's been playing lately, when he gets on this hot streak, you could just kind of keep riding him. Washington Wizards, pretty good matchup for him as well. Looking for 51 points out of him at $1,200, but currently I'm projected for 53 tonight. Definitely has a ton of upside for more as well. Then we get down to the shooting guard with Alec Burks, $5,000. Reasonable price tag, kind of mid-tier guy here. You're looking for 25 points out. Currently, I'm projected from 26. Can't really complain here. Pretty simple there. If he's starting once again, he's going to look pretty good. Obviously, if he gets a little bit more minutes than we expect, he's going to look even better and goes against the Hornets tonight, which is a pretty good matchup overall. Then at small forward, we're going to end up on Eric Gordon. He is... he's $5,400. Looking for 27 points out of him. Houston team is very depleted. There may be no Jabari Smith tonight as well, so Eric Gordon's going to look pretty good, especially if this game is competitive. Looking for 27 points out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 28, 29, but has gone way over that the last two times as well. So we have seen the upside in recent games, even though we don't think of Eric Gordon as this big guy who's out there doing all this stuff. But on this Rockets team, he kind of has to be, because he's really their second best player at this point in time. Him and Alfred Sengun going to soak up a ton of usage tonight overall. And then then at power forward, we're going Drew Eubanks here at $4,600. So not quite the value that he is over on DraftKings, but looking for 23 points. Currently I'm projected for 23, 24. Has that big upside, especially if him and Wofford start together, then his minutes could be a little bit higher than we would typically expect otherwise. If he's out there, if he's getting the rebounds, if he's doing well, they're probably going to run with him a little bit more as well. If we get the case where Jeremy Grant's out and he's starting along like Trendon Watford or Jabari Walker, he could see a little bit of an uptick in usage as well, even though he's not a very high usage player as well. So we got Danny popping up in here. He's saying hi and good luck. So obviously, thank you, Danny. Good luck to everybody that is listening for tonight's slate overall. It's going to be a pretty interesting one, I do believe. And once again, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here at the final pick of the core picks with Domantas Sabonis at $9,900 for Sacramento. It's a revenge spot for him, if you want to call it that. Looking for 49, 50 points out. I'm currently have projected for 51 tonight, but he has a ton of upside, especially without De'Aaron Fox, where this offense is running through him. So that's kind of what we have in terms of core picks for FanDuel at this point in time. If you go with these five players, $24,900 remaining, just over $6,200 per player. Going to have to get a little bit creative, but there is a decent amount of value on tonight's slate overall. So kind of mix and match your favorite values. Maybe you can pay up a little bit towards another player if that's something you really want to do. But going to make for an interesting slate overall. Yeah, but with that being said, these are my core picks for today, February 3rd. As always, if anybody has questions, whether you're listening right now live and you want to throw it in the chat, feel free to do so. Or if you're watching on replay, throw it down in the comments and I'll be happy to answer you as quickly as possible. Also, make sure you note whether those questions are more DraftKings or FanDuel specific, just so I can help you as best and as quickly as possible. And then with that being said, and then also very interested in hearing what you guys' favorite plays are for tonight's slate overall. Maybe it's somebody that I did mention in my core 5 picks on either site. Going to be a decent amount of value out there tonight, so could range person to person, player to player, and everything else like that. Definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say, though. And then, as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates throughout the day down in the comments, as well as many starting lineups as I can get to tonight. And then about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, I'll have my updated core out down in the comments. There'll be a pinned comment. If there's any other changes throughout the night, there as well. I'll try to comment down below that pinned comment as well, which I did last night with Emmanuel quickly once we did get that Jalen Brunson news. Unfortunately, that play did not really end up working out as well as we thought it would. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, it's really just NBA DFS season. We'll get into some MLB DFS once baseball comes back around, doing some NBA prize picks here and there. Make sure you're following me at Coach Craig Sport on Twitter, putting out my prize picks there as well. Last night was kind of unfortunate. Was only 1 of 3 there just because Donovan Mitchell was struggling, got ejected. Jimmy Butler was a little less than optimal. And then PJ Washington forgot how to make a shot yesterday where he shot 3 for 15 for whatever reason. So a little unfortunate there. The day before we went 4-1. So you're going to have days like that, especially when the props weren't as nice yesterday overall. But definitely make sure you're checking out that content as well. Sometimes I'll throw up prize pick videos as well. Going to be doing a little bit of NFL draft videos in the coming weeks as well. So if that's something you're into, definitely be sure to check that out as well. And then with that being said, if you're a newer current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I go live for a live stream, post up a new video. Definitely make sure that you're checking out all the content as it does come out, especially with a lot of the content that I put out on the daily, Monday through Friday. It's a little time sensitive too, because a lot of the content's only good for that specific day. But with that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today's live stream. If anybody does have any last minute questions, feel free to throw them in. Otherwise, if you're watching on replay, throw them down in the comments. Be more than happy to answer them as quickly as possible. And then with that being said, do appreciate everybody that tuned in, whether you're watching live on the live stream or watching on replay as well. Hope each and every one of you do have a great rest of your day as well.